Palumbo with RxMuscle.com. I'm here at the 2010 IFBB Mr. Olympia Prejudging. I'm here with Lonnie the Swami Teper and Chris Aceto, and we're going to do the wrap-up. This was probably one of the most controversial Mr. Olympia Prejudgings of all time. It was originally billed as the Jay, Phil, and Kai show. That wasn't to be. You thought that Jay Cutler did the work he needed to win this thing. Tell me why.
Yeah, I did. And talking about the Jay, Kai, and Phil show, it was just the Jay and Phil show. Kai Greene was way too heavy.
No, I'm talking about initially it was billed as that.
Billed as that, yeah. But as it turned out, it was a two-man show. And I know a lot of people. Phil Heath looked spectacular, number one. Best he's ever
Let's talk to Jay Cutler. What did you think about Jay Cutler?
Well, I thought Jay Cutler was every bit as good as he was last year, if not better. And I think what everybody's not looking at is Phil does have a prettier physique, and he was his best that he ever was in beautiful round muscle, but Jay is still about this much wider. You got to look at that. And when they're
how much wider?
About this much wider, okay? And when you do a front lat spread and a rear lat spread, there was a huge difference. And from the side, Cutler had more happening in the thighs and the hamstrings. You know, I mean, I just thought he's a defending champion. I thought he was as good or better than last year.
Do you agree, Chris?
No.
Why?
I didn't see the show. I thought the show unfolded in an odd way. In that, when Phil first came out, I thought, there's the show right there. I thought he had the detail, the package, the pop. He had a combo of a Wheeler and Coleman type physique, and he was in great condition, and he was round. But as the show went, I thought, once the guys kept on going, I thought, wow, Branch Warren, is going to move up here.
Let's talk about Jay, though. What did you think about Jay? You've trained Jay when he looked his best in 2001. He's never duplicated that, not even last year. What did you think of the Jay Cutler here, in your honest opinion? You have the most experience with Jay.
I thought that he, when I did the play-by-play, I can confirm what Lonnie said, which was, he had the width, he had the front double bicep with width, the front lat spread with width. I thought he was in good condition. And I just thought as he kept on going, he faded. He didn't have the detail of, he just faded. My eyes came off him and went on to Phil, and shockingly, because I'm not a fan of Branch.
What was different from this year to last year from Jay Cutler?
I thought last year he was off the charts, and this year he was not off the charts.
Do you think he wasn't conditioned enough, or do you think he was just holding water?
He looked tired more than anything else, so I don't know if that's flat, holding water. I mean, he still had, he's Jay Cutler, he's been first and second for his whole life, so.
Who did you have winning this show?
I think I would give the show to Phil.
And why?
He had the least amount of weaknesses in the lineup in terms of quarter turns, in terms of fullness and hardness and condition. I mean, he wasn't retardedly hard, but he was really, really, really hard. There's no flatness to his physique. He had good stamina all the way through. He's still narrow, but everyone had weaknesses up there. So the still narrow part doesn't hold weight when you have people who are a little
So you're
off.
saying this Mr. Olympia Prejudging was basically who had the least weaknesses?
Who had the least weaknesses, and who really had the stamina towards the end, because the last call-out,
Branch was hurting.
Jay was hurting. Branch was closing hard.
We'll get to Branch in a second. Okay. Where did you have Phil Heath?
Well, there's no question. He's right there. I've had him pushing Jay. I don't think it's any. Some people are out here saying Jay wins easy. That's absurd to say that. That's obviously Jay and Phil or Jay. I have the slight edge to Jay, but Branch Warren is Chris. I think Branch Warren's coming. And as I was looking at it, I thought Branch Warren was getting better as time went on. But I have Branch third. I have Phil definitely etched in second. At the worst.
I'm not a big Phil Heath fan because I think he is a little narrow, but I thought that this was a very, very good Phil Heath. I thought it was one of the best Phil Heaths I've seen, and I have to believe that Jay Cutler was not as good as he was last year. I don't think he had the sharpness. I think he was overcarbed. He looked like he was sucking wind up on stage, and I have to give it to Phil Heath because I thought he was much more polished. But let's talk about Branch Warren for a minute, because as you said, when Branch first came out, you weren't that impressed. He did work his way up. He on the back double bicep that last round, I mean, his glutes, hamstrings, and back might have been the best up there.
Dude, he looked like he carved up on Quickcrete. That's the way you get at Home to make things like hard as a rock fast. He was, his glutes were like cement. His quads were insane. His abs and thighs was insane. His side chest was off the charts. He's got structural issues, but he don't have the structural issues when he's this hard and this dense and this crazy that you would say, okay, structural issues. I can't have you wherever.
Can you make a case for him winning the Mr. Olympia?
No, I don't think I could. If I was judging, I would be hard-pressed to have him first, but I would absolutely... I can see where judges can have him first based on the crazy density. He was crazy.
Let's talk about Dexter Jackson, who I thought was a much better Dexter Jackson. He came in the old shredded way. We used to see him, the striated glutes, dry and hard. You could see it in his face at the press conference. Where do you think he falls in this lineup, and do you like the look that he brought this year?
I always like Dexter Jackson's look, and he's got a beautiful physique, and they don't call him the Blade for nothing. I got him in fourth. The other three guys are just too much size and Branch with the freakiness, and I just think he's just too small to finish higher than fourth.
You have Branch in third?
I have Branch in third.
What do you think about Dexter Jackson? Is he a solid fourth in your mind?
Solid fourth in my mind. Third, fourth, but I think at the end of the day he's going to end up fourth. I've seen him harder.
Is this a prejudging? Is this a Mr. Olympia that they might wait till tomorrow and see what happens because there was so many crazy things that happened?
Absolutely. I mean, I can't imagine that they've made up a solid... I can't imagine how many judges saying, we unanimously think, Jay, Phil, or Branch is first. There's going to be some dissent, and they're going to just rejudge it tomorrow night.
What do you think of Dennis Wolf? It looks like he might snag that fifth spot.
Most improved bodybuilder from the Olympia from a year ago. I had actually given up on the guy.
Everyone has.
Yeah, almost everybody. I didn't even have him in my top 10. So that was my worst pick in my preview. In our preview, I didn't mention Dennis Wolf. Fifth or sixth place, and, really, really an improved guy. He's kind of back to where he was 2-3 years ago when he was a potential title contender.
I still don't think that Dennis was the best Dennis I've seen, but in this lineup, I think that he was definitely a solid fifth. Would you agree?
Yeah, he's now I see why people have in the past hyped him to be Mr. Olympia because
he's got a great structure.
He's got a great structure. He's tall. He's lat spread, front double are off the charts, and he's just got to. Lonnie's right. He was a big surprise of the show.
Victor Martinez will probably snag sixth here. Once again, the best I've ever seen Victor Martinez, and you're smiling because you know what I'm going to say. 2003, when you worked with him in Night of Champions, what happened there? How come he stopped working with you? And what is Victor doing wrong? Because he looked like he put the size back that he lost.
I don't know what I did in 2001.
You don't remember?
01 and 03, but
yeah.
He is in crazy condition. Victor Martinez can win the show. Bottom line.
But he wasn't in the condition that you think he needed to be in.
I don't think anyone thought he was in the condition that people expected. He was working with Joe McNeil. That's the Blade's mentor. So.
Yeah, but Dexter anyone get Dexter in shape. He's a freak of nature.
Well, what's the question about Victor? Does he have to go back?
Would you work with him again if he ever wanted to?
No, I mean I'm a mercenary.
Like a Bob Grushkin.
If I get paid, I'm mercenary.
What did you think of Victor Martinez?
Well, I had him in sixth in my preview, and he's
might be right.
Yeah, he has to prove it to me. He's not the Victor Martinez he used to be. There's a lot of rumors about Victor, kind of as the Cormier, today's Cormier. He likes to party a lot. He had the surgery on his right leg. You could see the difference still.
I don't think it was quite as bad, though.
Not quite as bad, but it's bad enough when you're going against those other guys to be, you're not going to be a title contender. You have to be the all-time best Victor Martinez to be considered a Mr. Olympia hopeful. And if he's going to stay in this type of condition, he's always going to be a fifth, sixth, seventh guy.
Let's just throw it out there. Kai Greene, what the hell happened to him in your mind?
The entire weekend revolved not around Jay or Dexter or Phil. It revolved around Kai because everyone knows if Kai came in, he'd be battling for first the way people have seen pictures of him. What I said is what we saw in photos is not what we saw on stage.
Does he have a problem peaking in Las Vegas? That's my theory. Last year he was off at the Olympia. This year, you think maybe the climate is changing? Maybe his prep needs to be altered somewhat?
He, I don't know because I don't know what he does or doesn't do, but Las Vegas, the show, he does good in, Columbus and not in Las Vegas? Is that the,
I don't know. Is he the biggest disappointment in the show, Kai?
Let me correct that a little bit. He was not spectacular at this year's Arnold Classic. He was spectacular in the 09 Arnold Classic. He was off at the Olympia. he was nowhere near what he was at the Arnold in 09 as he was in 010.
I agree.
I had Phil Heath winning
I agree.
the Arnold Classic, but he's way off here, and he's so consumed about I weigh 286, I weigh 281.
He looked like he was about 260 on stage.
Yeah, you know what? He needs to be 240 on stage if that's the case.
I don't agree with that.
The whole lineup is concerned with their weight. So, you know what I mean?
They don't even have abs. They're standing there, and they had 5 guys in that one group, and from the front, he had the worst abs of the 5.
Tell he was in condition, but what the problem was his muscles were flat. Do you think that he just over depleted?
I couldn't tell
He
should know.
I thought he was conditioned.
was in tremendous condition.
Dissension in the ranks here.
Well, I'm the technician, and he's the Swami. There's a difference.
He was in a tremendous condition.
Yes, he was. I think he was
He
just
had no
flat.
abs. He's standing from the.
Because his muscles were flat.
Well, he wasn't in condition then.
He was flat.
You couldn't see any. Where was the separation? Where were the triceps? What are you talking about?
The muscles were depleted.
The Kai Greene that we thought we were going to see compared to what we saw up there
I
wasn't.
thought he was unconditioned.
Yeah.
You agree with that?
I thought if you go by, here's the bottom line. He was in great condition 2 weeks leading up to the show. You would.
You couldn't have blown it right the last 2 days.
You couldn't have gained fat in the last, whatever, how many days, so he must have been as flat as an IHOP special.
You heard it from Chris Aceto. Flat as an IHOP special is the phrase of the
They
day.
have one around here.
Yeah, I'm kind of hungry, actually, myself. Look, the bottom line is this was one of the most confusing Mr. Olympias of all time. We're not going to know what's going to happen, and I don't think the judges know what's going to happen until tomorrow night. So stay tuned so you can hear our wrap-up after the finals and see if the Swami and it's Jay Cutler, or see if the technician was right, if it's Phil Heath, or if Branch Warren upsets the apple cart.
Who are you picking?
I'm not picking anyone. I wouldn't pick anyone here. I'm not a betting man.
You put Chris and I on the line, and everyone's going to hate us, but now you're afraid. Come on, Jumbo.
I think Branch Warren was the best guy on stage today, but I think that Phil Heath will win the Olympia. That's my prediction. For now, we're out of time, though. I'm Dave Palumbo with Lonnie the Swami Teper and Chris Aceto, rxmuscle.com.